Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kelsey. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey through the stories of Middle-earth.
Join us as we laugh over the odd bits of lore and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
So for our second part of this haunted, scary discussion
Part deux.
The spooky places in Middle-earth, I think, Angela, you want to take us on a tour of some of the deepest, darkest, scariest places ever to exist.
We're going underground.
And we're way beyond the Third Age here.
This is like before the First Age. In pretty much the creation of the world type of timeline here.
Nice. So some of the spookiest places that have existed since the formation of the universe.
This, for me, is the creepiest.
Yeah.
If we're talking horror movies, there's like the ghosty type of horror movies that, that was stuff we talked about last episode.
Yeah.
This is like the gory thrasher killer. Just
Silent Hill type.
Yes.
Okay.
It's bad. And
it's real bad.
And we'll tell you about it.
How bad is it, he said?
Well, it's pretty much the creation of every bad thing that exists in Middle-earth. And just to start that out.
Yeah. No big deal.
It's like
from one place.
The origin of where all this came from.
X-Men origin stories.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
And it's called Utumno.
Yes. Utumno. You gotta love these Tolkien names.
Yeah, which I will say I have not heard of this. It escaped my knowledge until doing research for this episode. Yes.
You need to reread the Silmarillion.
I really do.
Laughs in First Age.
Like, I've read it back in high school. I even wrote a book report on it. Yeah, apparently I don't remember a whole lot from it. But no,
half the fun is rediscovering.
Exactly. Yes, this is what this journey is all about. But yeah, Utumno. Okay, so this was Morgoth's first fortress.
Yeah.
First stronghold. So he created Utumno way back when, I guess, the Valar were first in Middle-earth.
Yeah, I think before the official counting of days in the First Age.
Yeah, so they came to Middle-earth, and Melkor Morgoth created Utumno. Oh, which is also called Udun, which that could tie it in.
Back to Fellowship of the Ring.
So yeah, for all the listeners, when Gandalf is fighting the Balrog in the Mines of Moria, and he's calling the Balrog the Flame of Udun.
Yeah.
That's basically calling back to the Balrog originating from Udun, also named Utumno.
That's a deep cut. But for us lore nerds, like, that's such an epic scene, because you're like, Flame of Udun, and you're like, that's Morgoth's fortress. That's where this guy comes from.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. So Morgoth, he digs deep, deep down into the earth. And I've heard that it's so deep down into the earth that it has connections to the void.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty deep. That sounds deeper than the dwarves dug in Moria.
Yeah. I don't know of that for sure, but I like the thought that it's just so deep that he pretty much somehow got into.
He dug his way out of existence in Middle-earth. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, if I recall correctly, all right, so the Valar sing everything into existence. Middle-earth exists.
Mm-hmm.
The Valar don't really mess with it so much. Like, they might come visit once or twice, but they're not really concerned with it. And this is when Morgoth is, I'm going to sneak over to Middle-earth and, like, do stuff. Like, they don't realize he's building.
Yeah, you're right. So Morgoth, or Melkor at the time, really wanted to create his own beings. So he's
trying to build a beautiful vision for Middle-earth over there.
And Iluvatar is basically God, I guess. And so he's really the only one that can create. But Melkor, he wants to also create things.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Middle-earth to try to create his own creatures, I suppose.
His own little set of playthings. Well, it makes sense that it's in Sauron's nature to also want to...
Sauron or Morgoth?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're talking about Morgoth. We'll get to skipping ahead here. Morgoth is he's basically on par with Manwë. He's like the other most powerful Valar that's ever existed. Ignore me.
No, it's all good. I was still on Morgoth. So he creates the Balrogs.
Mm-hmm.
He creates orcs. He tortures the elves to make them into the orcs. And I've heard it said that Morgoth's greatest sin is creating the orcs from the elves.
Yeah.
Which, the more I thought about it, I mean, it's just torture chambers, the most evil
thing you could think. Well, it's so horrific because he's taking something that was so pure and created by the Valar and twisting it to his own evil purposes, but also it shows the limits. So like even he wants to create something and he can't quite make it. He has to pervert something that already exists.
Right, exactly. So that actually brings me to a question of the Balrogs.
Yeah.
Because they are Maiar level, right?
So I've read a couple different things. My take between the Silmarillion and some of his other writings was they are Maiar, and I don't know if they were Maiar of particular Valar like Aule or others, but then they were swayed by Melkor Morgoth's song, and it sort of turns them into these creatures of hatred and flame.
So he still didn't create them, but he twisted them all.
I'm team he twisted them, and their nature became corrupted because of their desires, and they become these like creatures of shadow and flame, right? But I don't think he makes them.
Yeah.
It's open to interpretation. I think I've read other things where I don't know if I've read that he made them, but I've seen analysis where people wonder if he, through some magic, helped turn them into this. So I'd say it's still up for debate, but I'd be curious what people think. I know a lot of people fall into the camp of they were Maiar, they became corrupted by Morgoth's vision and kind of turned into these creatures to show their true evil selves.
That makes sense to me because I feel like I know that he does not create life, but he does twist it.
Yeah.
And so basically this Utumno is his fortress of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And so
not his fortress of solitude. Up and ice.
If only he did just want to live in solitude up there. So it's this fortress that's deep underground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm picturing basically hell down there. I mean, torture chambers,
horrible, like necromantic sorcerer experiments, shrieks, howl.
Yeah.
Like a super amplified version of what we see in that Sauron does at Orthanc, right? Like, that's just like a shadow of what.
Exactly. I don't even want to imagine the level of torture that went on down there.
No.
We're talking dragons, the Balrogs.
So here's a question for you. Did he create the dragons, or did he stumble across creatures again that he turned into it? Because I remember reading that he like made the dragons.
I think so too. In all my reading about this, that's kind of what I remember is. And so you actually touched on part of what makes Utumno one of my favorite and creepiest is because of its connection to the deep, deep underground nameless things.
Well, we get that one throwaway line from Gandalf, which is, I'm going to mess it up, but far, far below the deepest delvings of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this implication from where you're going that Morgoth was able to tap into these terrifying creatures that have just sort of existed.
Right.
That are either in the deep, dark places or come from the void, perhaps, like Ungoliant does, or just they're there.
Yeah.
And then he twists them for his own purposes. Because I was reading, like, it's considered that he created the dragons by corrupting and altering existing creatures.
Right.
Where did he get those creatures from, she says.
Right. Oh, the singing. Yes, one of the theories of where these nameless creatures came from is that, and to clarify, all this is pretty much theory because not a lot is said about the nameless things in Utumno.
Yeah.
So one of the theories is that during the great singing that kind of created the world, Melkor was creating discord in their harmonies.
Yeah, he's singing his like own tune.
He was singing his own tunes, and it was throwing off everybody else. And the image that I get is that the discord sounds negative to me. Like maybe he's throwing in some kind of evil or malevolent type of themes. And so it's this singing that does create Middle Earth. So like, Yavanna probably singing trees into existence type of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe Morgoth's discord is creating these twisted, nameless things that now exist. Maybe it's starting underground. Maybe just evil now is permeating through in some way.
I think that's really interesting because as you were describing that, I remember when they talk about singing and creation and how Morgoth kind of like does his own thing. And I've seen some pretty funny memes out there where it's like him just being like a soloist trying to improv and everybody's looking at him like what are you doing?
Yeah.
But my question to you is, do you think he purposefully creates these creatures or just the act of him not following everything else creates the chaos that allows these creatures to exist? Like because he's singing his own thing and it's like throwing everybody off, the notes go haywire and it like a stray note means,
right,
a dragon or something, versus him purposely being like, I'm going to sing my own thing and make these creatures that are going to be there for me.
It's a great question that I'm trying to think back to what Iluvatar even says, where he's creating themes for all the, or not Valar.
Like Valar.
Valar, yeah. To, a theme that they're all singing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if any of them know what they're creating necessarily. And the reason I say that is at the end, after Melkor creates discord like 3 times, and he's finally like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. The course director's like, hold on, stop for a second.
But he says something along the lines of, I'm going to show you what you have created.
Right. Yeah, because they didn't know what they were singing.
Right. So I don't think he was purposefully like, I'm going to create a Balrog.
Yeah.
But it's just how it came to existence.
He threw off the melody and do his own thing.
And even the Balrog, as you were saying with, is it something that he further corrupted? These nameless things that maybe these things exist, whether it's a result of Melkor's singing or they were still just there. Maybe he could have melded them into something else if he had gotten around to it.
Yeah, if he'd followed the sheet of music as it was supposed to be written, or maybe that was all part of Eru Ilúvatar's plan.
Either way, to me, just thinking of the amount of torture and horribleness that went on.
Oh, bad vibes all around.
Not just the torture that Melkor is doing, but also the nameless things that may or may not be even controlled by Morgoth.
Well, and the Balrogs, once they become Balrogs, I'm sure they're having fun in there.
Right.
Wait, I'm sure all of his lieutenants are just lovely, upstanding citizens of Middle-earth. I'm sure there's nothing untoward happening at this fortress.
Exactly.
It's a spooky, spooky place. But the thing is, you were saying too, like, Utumno exists and it's such a place of badness that the heavies have to come in to finally take it down, right?
Oh, the heavies is in the elves?
No, the Valar.
Oh, the Valar, you're right.
Yeah.
So it's not even the regular Middle-earth elves that are able to take this place down. I forgot. It's the Valar are like, okay,
we're tired of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they step in and take him down the first time.
Melkor / Morgoth is a Valar. Yeah. And so, it kind of takes the other Valar to actually.
He's our little fallen angel. It says something that this first time around when he's building Utumno and creating all this evil and just spewing out and torturing and manipulating and just, I'm sure the mountains in the northern part of Beleriand here.
Yeah.
Or, the continent in the First Age or pre-First Age in this case. There's a lot of bad noises that are just permanently etched into the stone.
Yeah.
Up there with everything going on.
Well, at the end of the First Age, and Beleriand sinks under the sea. It's not 100% known whether Utumno also got buried in the sea or whether it's still maybe on the edge of where the land and sea meet or something.
Oh, there might be remnants of it up on the
There might be. I hope that it's buried under the sea.
Well, I feel like the Valar go in because they get wind of what Morgoth is up to and they're like, right, and they go in and they take it down,
so they
cleanse it.
But it's so they go down, but they don't go down to every corner, and so it's kind of left to your imagination that there may be some corners that they didn't fully clean out.
Maybe they were afraid. Well, because they want to purge Middle Earth of this because they know the elves are coming, right? So they want to make sure Morgoth isn't. Doesn't work out that way. He gets up to shenanigans again, but at least now they're like, no, we're going to go through. But they clearly missed some things because a lot of his, like the Balrogs and dark creatures are all around for the big war with the elves that happens in the First Age.
Exactly. So it kind of starts tying into my next place. So you mentioned how the Balrogs still exist after Utumno goes under the ocean and is cleaned by the Valar. So these deep, deep tunnels. I don't know if it's fact or just assumed by fans that it is connected to the deep places in Moria.
Interesting. I guess I was saying the Balrogs flee the first time around when Morgoth is defeated by the Valar, but then they come back and fight with him in the big war against the elves in the First Age, and some of them are destroyed and some of them TBD, but then whatever's left go to flee, and that is where...
So they flee above ground.
Maybe, or maybe they know those secret tunnels from before, and that's how they escape the second time around.
I gotcha.
And go to Moria and other dark, spooky places that are connected by these tunnels or voids or whatever happens to be under the earth. That maybe they've had a lot of time to explore, and they know they've got some good escape routes, right?
I like the thought of it being connected. It's just the same type of nameless things and deep underground tunnels are mentioned in both Utumno and Moria that make me want to connect them. Whether it's just a coincidence they both have these deep, dark tunnels. Maybe dark tunnels go under all of Middle-earth. And they're just the two places that people have dug deep enough to reach them.
So don't dig too deep in Middle-earth.
Yeah.
Unless you're a bad guy and you're looking for things down there.
Right.
But I think there's something deeply, deeply unsettling, pun intended for using deeply twice, about these creatures that are just dwelling in all these dark, secret corners of the world, gnawing, existing, waiting to be discovered, whatever you have it. And they're just there. You might stumble across one of them if you go in the wrong direction. And they predate the elves. They predate all of these things that we know from the first couple ages of Middle-earth. And I almost feel bad. I mean, the dwarves came across a Balrog, but like, goodness knows what else they could have come across.
Well, the Watcher in the Water outside of Moria is thought to be one of these nameless things.
Pretty scary stuff. Gandalf talks about seeing some stuff when he falls all the way down to the bottom fighting the Balrog.
That's pretty much where I'm getting some of this.
And he chooses not to elaborate, which says a lot, where he's like...
Something like, I'm not going to bring that to the light of day.
Don't you put that evil on me, Rich Bobby? Like, no, exactly. He's like, this is too spooky. We don't need to talk about these things.
Yeah, don't want to
It'll
darken
just
the
darken
daylight.
Everything as it is, which, again, I have questions, Gandalf. If it's that scary, what did you see down there?
I would love to know.
Yeah.
But I think that's partly why it's so creepy to me, is that we don't know. But for me, Utumno is the peak, especially in the First Age.
Yeah.
It's like the peak of evil.
Yeah, I think, and we'll get into it in the next section, I think the level of monsters and stuff we see in the First Age, ain't nothing in the Third Age it's scary as that. Like, there's some scary things in the Third Age. And Minas Morgul, no thanks.
It's kind of like leftovers of what the First Age experience.
Yeah, it's like
First Age.
First Age is not a pleasant place to be in.
No.
Like, there's some really... Well, and it's funny, too. You have the other fortress, Angband, which I think that's the one they're trying to show in Rings of Power, which was another fortress that was a smaller support fortress to Utumno, and it was manned by Sauron.
Right.
So it was his little fortress.
Which Morgoth did take over, or maybe not take over, but it was now his new fortress after Utumno.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so basically, TLDR... The Valar come in and clear out Utumno, capture Melkor, drag him back, say, what are you doing? He's like, oh, sorry. Didn't mean it.
Right.
And during that whole time, Sauron is left in charge of Angband, and he's like, I guess I'm in charge now? Like, well,
I guess he just keeps running things. Yeah.
Keeps things going, and everybody kind of hangs out at this fortress that wasn't destroyed, Angband. I have questions about why the Valar didn't
go after that one.
Or maybe they destroyed it, but they didn't destroy all of it, right?
Good question.
And then, eventually Morgoth comes back and he's like, I'm back.
Right.
Let's do it again.
He's like, sorry, Valar.
And then Angband becomes...
They believe him for some reason.
I felt, maybe he's really convincing.
Yeah.
Yes. So Angband becomes this sort of fortress for the round 2, which is his epic war against the elves in the First Age and all the wars of Beleriand and what eventually leads to that whole continent.
Right.
Being destroyed and disappearing into the oceans forever.
I can't wait to do more of a deep dive on that one.
Oh, man. But Moria, I think, because I know I wanted to give a quick shout out to Angband because it's a spooky fortress, but Moria, man.
So that's where I think Moria might be my top creepy place.
Ooh.
Only because, well, not only, there's lots of creepy things that go on in there, but because it's connected to that deep, nameless place. And that's creepy to me.
It reminds me a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, where you have these giant, terrifying creatures. In his stories, it's called the Great Old Ones, and there's these giant, terrifying creatures that exist in like the depths of the oceans and places we haven't really discovered, and they start emerging, right? So it's like stumbling across these things that cannot be named in the dark places of the world. It very much has those vibes. And Moria in the books, too. Like, everybody who's read that whole sequence, not even knowing these potential connections to the deep, dark things in the world, Moria is still such a terrifying place because it's abandoned with the dwarves, the drums in the deep. Like, the way they build up the horror of that whole sequence culminating in the fight with the Balrog is still pretty epic and also very scary when you're reading it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the orcs, they're creepy enough, swarming the halls. Don't want to wake them up either, which they obviously do. Then all the other things. And the fact that it's still open in the Fourth Age of Middle-earth.
Yay!
Like, everything's good. We've defeated Sauron. But there's still this access to
what dark, evil, scary thing could just accidentally crawl up into...
You know it will.
Ugh.
Like, there's probably going to be a great golden age of prosperity and peace. I don't know. Somebody is either going to throw a rock down a well.
Yeah, maybe. This is solidifying my decision not to want to live in Moria, by the way. Like, thinking back to talking about where you want to live in Middle-earth, I'm like, I don't think I want to live anywhere where a giant, unnamed, terrifying creature that's existed before the universe just kind of can be discovered.
Right.
I don't think that's an encounter I want to risk in my homeland, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, those deep, dark places, man, Tolkien doesn't spend a lot of time describing them, but the few bits and pieces we get are pretty impactful and pretty scary. And they kind of let your imagination run wild with what could this be.
Yeah. I'm trying to describe some of the creatures that come to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But the word gnawing, at the earth makes me think of at least something worm-like.
For those of you that are Dragon Age fans, it reminds me of a Twisted Evil version of what they call the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're these giant creatures that sort of are at the heart of the earth. That like they're so big you don't realize you're in them when you're in them because you think it's just more stone, and then you realize it's a creature.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Okay.
Yeah. Type.
So you don't even know what you're looking at first.
No.
I could see that.
You know how I feel about this. I really do feel that the First Age stuff is just scary on a level that we just don't see anywhere else in the later ages. Like, yeah, it's scary, but like, oh, dead marshes. There's some dead guys in a pool. It's not the seat of all evil or Balrogs. And I mean, Angalagon the Black, which is the greatest dragon of Morgoth, is so big that when he's finally defeated and falls from the sky, he takes out 3 mountains.
Right.
3 mountains are crushed under his body. Like, I can't even begin to think of the size of a dragon that, like, I'm sorry, Game of Thrones, your dragons have nothing on this guy.
Well, like Smaug in The Hobbit, isn't that like the smallest dragon?
He's like the smallest,
like
lesser dragons that's ever existed. He's like a wimp and a snort of what used to be.
I would love to see a visual representation of that huge dragon.
I've seen people that like do the scale of dragons in like Lord of the Rings and how they get bigger and bigger. But like, yeah, Angalagon the Black is...
Angalagon. So he originated in Utumno too.
All the dragons did. I wonder if Smaug did.
Well, he's either an offspring.
Yeah,
probably an offspring.
And maybe he came out of one of the other. Maybe he came out of Angband. Although I wonder, when we were talking about the Paths of the Dead, if that mountain is haunted because it somehow also connects to some of the dark places under the world. It's part of what just made that place inherently evil before the men got cursed and disappeared into it. Or maybe why it was a place where they worshipped Morgoth, theoretically, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I want to know.
But I just found another quote about Morgoth.
Yeah.
And the nameless things, maybe. And I'm assuming this came from the Silmarillion. He poured out his power into the very matter of Arda.
Nice.
Which definitely makes me think that those nameless things kind of came from Morgoth.
Way to go, Melkor. Appreciate it. Maybe we don't. This is why we don't need any divas in the courts. But what kind of malice and evil you're creating, I love it.
And even if he wasn't specifically trying to create certain creatures,
he was trying to think bad.
Maybe he did. Could even he think up?
Maybe,
yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe Eru Iluvatar's in the back being like, hey, let's make this one, see what he thinks of this guy. Like,
that's kind of what I was thinking too, is that he's like, let me show you what your singing created.
I don't know. But there are definitely some questions about like, well, if Eru Iluvatar the One is all powerful and is the only one that can create, did he allow these creatures to exist?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So again, I was listening to videos about this where I guess all the Valar were all parts of Eru Iluvatar.
Yeah.
And Melkor, he was the strongest Valar, but also a representation of all of Eru.
Oh, so he's got a little bit of everything.
Exactly. But that includes some evil. So it kind of leads me to think that evil is just part of the world. Like it has to be, or it just...
So you're saying Melkor was set up to fail?
In a way, yes.
Well, that's not very... Why does he have to be the fall guy? No, I mean, you're right. Like, evil is part of the world. But again, questions on why it has to be so cataclysmic and so catastrophic and so horrific for all the people that have to live through...
I know.
The War of Wrath and all the wars of Beleriand. Like,
Speaking of some of the First Age
carnage.
carnage.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm so excited. I know when we were talking about this episode, I was like, I forgot to put in, we have to talk about the stuff on the First Age. And I'll go back to my point that I really think the First Age stuff is just on another level.
I'm ready.
Whether it's Utumno, the fortress of all evil and all this. But for me, there are two locations that show evil at its absolute peak during Morgoth's reign and during the wars with the elves in the First Age. So this is after the first war with the Valar and he gets captured and released. This is like when he tries again and fights in the First Age and all the wars against the elves and the little snippet we get at the end of the first episode of Rings of Power, which shows sort of the end of all that. These two places sort of stand out to me. The first one, and honestly, these have like primordial horror that frankly, that makes the Third Age look tame by comparison. Yeah. So the first one is Nan Dungortheb, which translates to the Valley of Dreadful Death. Now,
great name.
Great. And this is a callback to two things we've already talked about, right? So last episode, when we talked about where we'd want to live, and I brought up Doriath, which I've been thinking about. I still don't know if I'd pick Doriath over the Shire, but I digress. Doriath has this magical barrier that is eventually put around it to protect it from all the evil that is going on in the war with Morgoth. And obviously, there's sort of a limit to the power. So Melian's kind of creating her magical barrier, but it has to stop somewhere.
Right.
And on the northern borders of Doriath is where it stops and bumps up against the malevolent power and sorcery of Sauron.
Okay.
And he's got his magical evilness barrier, if you will. And basically what is created is Nan Dungortheb, which is almost like a magical no man's land. It's like this horrible valley, and you've kind of got these two competing mountains so there's the arid Gorgoroth, which are the north and one of the borders of where Morgoth and Sauron have all their fortresses. So you have those mountains, and just south of that, before you get to Doriath, is this area. And like I said, it's a magical no man's land, but add into that mix, you know, when we talked about Ungoliant fleeing in the First Age,
she ended up over here.
She ended up over here. This is one of the places that she stops on her world tour of Middle-earth before she pieces off into the void and consumes herself. So it is extra evil because it was a place where she bred and killed her mates, and like just all of her dark offspring, including Shelob, probably come from here.
Yeah.
So you've got...
So it takes Shelob's lair and just multiply that by a million.
On the size of a giant valley, horrific area. Like, it is...
Definitely don't want to go into that valley.
It is so bad. So she goes down into Beleriand and dwelt beneath the arid Gorgoroth in this dark valley that was called Nan Dungortheb, the Valley of Dreadful Death. And it was called that because of the horror that Ungoliant bred there. So the name comes from Ungoliant and all the shenanigans she's up to. It's shrouded in darkness. And like I said, the power and the sorcery of Sauron is like butting up against the protective girdle of Melian. And they say there in the valley, horror and madness walked. Like spiders of the fell race of Ungoliant are there. They're spinning unseen webs in which all living things are snared. Monsters wandered there that were born in the dark long before the sun. So some of those unseen things are like up and about and walking in this valley. They call it hunting silently with many eyes. Like the amount of things they said that the waters there are poisoned and perilous to drink. Like the whole place is just Mordor on crack. Right? Yeah. You've got giant spiders. You've got nameless things walking the earth. You've got darkness. You've got shadows. You've got poison water.
I think I might be changing my answer.
Sounds like a great place, right? And like, spoiler alert, Beren from the Lay of Luthien that mimics Aragorn and Arwen's love story from Third Age, his love story of Beren and Luthien, which is one of the main stories in the First Age, he goes through there and somehow makes it out. But apparently it was so traumatizing. When asked about it, he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. I actually was going to ask you if there's any stories of anybody going into that valley.
There's a couple. So Beren makes it through and is like literally PTSD, will not talk about it. Like the guy that fought his way into Morgoth's lair is like, I'm not talking about this evil dark place.
Right.
And then there's another character. This is going to be a very deep lore cut, so bear with me. But do you remember when we talked about Gondolin?
Yeah.
Okay. The dark elf that eventually causes the downfall of Gondolin. His mom was really important elf to the Noldor, and she and her people are fleeing the destruction of one of the other elven cities in Beleriand while they're fighting with Morgoth. She gets separated from her party and wanders into Nan Dungortheb, and the rest of her party assumes she's dead for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
She does make it out. They make it to Gondolin. Her son causes the eventual downfall of Gondolin. It's a whole thing.
Did she make it somehow?
I don't I won't get into the fall of Gondolin.
That's okay.
It's a really good story for another day. But so we know of at least 2 people that make it through. And I think there are a couple others. I'd have to pull that up. But it is a terrifying place. Like the elves in the First Age are like, like we're not going there.
Even with hearing about some survivors.
Yeah.
You could not get me in there.
Can you imagine a shadowy, dark, poisonous, nasty place that has like multiple Shelobs, right? And possibly Ungoliant?
Yeah, no thanks.
No, I'm good. Like we're going to...
Apparently some nameless things.
Nameless things wandering around. Like it does not sound like... It is not where I want to be. So that is place number 1. And it really does...
That is a good one. It kind of brings together a couple of the other places we've talked about.
Yeah.
It's like worse than Shelob.
It really is. And the other thing I didn't even talk about, I said the water was poisonous, but like if you're so desperate and you somehow found yourself, you've wandered into Nan Dungortheb, it says all who were foolish enough to drink from its waters were filled with madness and thoughts of despair. So like the whole place just messes with you. And it's, wow, I feel bad. I feel bad about the woman who wandered in. I told you that the elf, the Aredhel, I never get her name right, but the mother of the guy who brings the fall of Gondolin, she tried getting to Doriath and they turned her away.
Oh, because they could sense the evil on her?
No, I think it's just because Doriath was shut down and it had the protective barrier. So they're like, sorry, nobody's getting in or out. And they turn her away. And that's how she ends up in Dungortheb.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns in the First Age. I think I pulled up a quote earlier and I wanted to put it here for all of our listeners that I love, but it's from the Lay of the Children of Húrin, which is the saddest tale that Tolkien has ever written. It is the most depressing.
I started that audiobook.
Beautiful piece of...
That's the current one I'm reading.
Well, prepare yourself. You're going to need all the tissues. It's rough. It's rough stuff.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so there's this quote from the Children of Húrin about Nan Dungortheb, and it goes, "There the twain unfolded phantom twilight and dim mazes dark, unholy, in Nan Dungorthin where the nameless gods have shrouded shrines in shadows secret, more old than Morgoth or the ancient lords, the golden gods of the guarded west." So he's like, there are dark, unholy things that have been there before Morgoth, before the Valar.
Yeah.
Like, that is...
Wow. Yeah.
That's a spooky place. So, and they talk about like lingering echo and demon voices, and it is stuff straight out of any horror film you can imagine.
I would love to learn how they got there.
Well, maybe Melkor's saying them. They're like, hey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, not every evil thing went underground.
No. Or maybe they felt that like after Ungoliant rolls through, they're like, yeah, like this is more our vibe now. Like we can come up. There's so much shadow and darkness.
That's true.
Let's have an evil party above ground. Yes. So Valley.
That's winning.
Valley of Dreadful Death is candidate number 1. And candidate number 2, oh man, this is my personal favorite. It's not as large in scope, but it's pretty creepy. Pretty creepy. And this is Tol In Gaurhoth.
This is one I haven't heard of before.
And again, you know me, I'm going to pull my deep cuts from the First Age because
this is why I love you.
This is the stuff that I'd like made me as a kid go, oh my goodness, I need to learn more. So Tol In Gaurhoth, also known as the Isle of Werewolves. So, little mini history.
I don't even remember werewolves in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, there's werewolves, there's vampires, there's evil cats.
Okay.
Yeah,
can't wait to go into this.
There's a lot of cool stuff. Another time. But this place is kind of like, if you think of like a fright show like this island has everything. It's got werewolves. It's got vampires. It's got torture chambers. It's got evil malevolent. It's got Sauron. Like, it's great.
Okay.
So, but it didn't start off evil. And it's interesting because we talked a lot about places that, like Minas Morgul, that it's just so evil that Aragorn's like, it's going to take centuries for this to even have some semblance of goodness. And even then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like Utumno, the Valar try to cleanse it and it's still like, not a good place.
Can't even get to all the deep places.
Tol In Gaurhoth didn't used to be evil, and it has a little redemption arc. It was built, it's actually the original Minas Tirith.
Oh, no way.
That's where the name comes from.
Oh, wow.
Or Tolkien reused it. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the two. But it was called Minas Tirith, and it was built by Finrod, a.k.a. brother of Galadriel, to be a watchtower looking north to keep an eye on all the shenanigans of Morgoth and Sauron. So there's this big river in this continent that now no longer exists, the River Sirion. And it goes through Beleriand and it goes through Doriath, the kingdom we talked about, and it comes out of the mountains way up north. And as it kind of approaches the evil mountains that border Morgoth's whole land up there, there's this island in the middle of the river. And that is where they built this fortress that was supposed to be a watchtower. So it sounds real familiar to Minas Morgul, which is why I like it.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a place where the elves kept watch over Morgoth and his evil kingdom.
Okay.
And I bet you can imagine how that worked out.
It doesn't sound like well.
No. And it did not stay in the elves' hands. So the
watchtowers don't really have a good track record.
Watchtowers on the borders of very evil places don't have a good track record. So it falls. Sauron's like, love it, taking over, going to redecorate the whole place. Pure evil. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not kidding. There are werewolves and vampires and every haunted creature you can think of are having a grand old time. And they rename it Tol In Gaurhoth, which is the Isle of the Werewolves from Minas Tirith, which is kind of a shame.
Are they pretty typical werewolves?
They're terrifying first age werewolves. So I would say they go a little beyond what we think of in our regular Western literature.
Yeah.
Almost like fell wolves that are like sentient in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And there is one particular, there's evil bat vampires. There's like dungeons on dungeons. There's giant werewolves that are like wolves that are bigger than horses and stuff. It's
bigger than horses.
It is a fun place, man. But it comes into play in the First Age, and then the epic tale of Beren and Luthien, our star-crossed human man and elf woman.
Very epic.
Lovers, and I won't go into the whole tale.
Yeah, it's a story for another day.
It's a story for another day. But Beren and a company of elves and men helping him, including Galadriel's brother Finrod, end up captured by Sauron on this island.
Okay.
So they're off on their quest to go rescue a Silmaril, which are the 3 jewels that Morgoth stole.
I can't wait to reread this book.
They get waylaid and captured, and it is bad. They are tied up in the dungeon. They are tortured. The werewolves start killing off the party members one by one. And like people are getting killed in front of their friends. It's gory. And I apologize to any children listening to this. Like, it is not it's not a happy story. It is not.
Dang, yeah, the First Age was pretty rough.
It was really dark, and it's very epic. Anyway, Galadriel's brother, because they didn't show this really in the Rings of Power, Galadriel's brother sacrifices himself to save Beren in the dungeons of the Isle of Werewolves.
Oh, wow.
So basically this horrifically large, terrifying werewolf is coming, the one that's been killing all of their party one by one, and he's coming for Beren.
Mm-hmm.
And Finrod's like, I can't let that happen. So he breaks free with his hands and his teeth after being tortured and hung in a dungeon for God knows how long. He fights and takes down this werewolf, basically barehanded, to save Beren.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty metal.
He's badass.
And then he dies in the process. It's so sad. That's how Galadriel actually loses her brother.
Okay. Yeah, because they just showed that a little bit. They don't even...
They show him like they showed the claw marks on his chest.
So they alluded to it.
So I think that I was like, oh, there we go. There's our moment.
Yeah.
For those who know.
Right.
We were like,
yeah.
But yeah, so the real story is he barehanded takes down a monstrous werewolf to save his human buddy, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And then, long story, medium again, Luthien shows up and was like, So she rescues her man. She fights Sauron. There's like a I don't remember the name of it, or even if it has a name, but like the bleed vampire on this haunted isle she kills. And then she takes the skin of so she can like shapeshift into a vampire to fool Morgoth.
What?
It's epic, man. It is.
I really need to reread this.
Yeah.
I have no memory of it.
But yeah, it is a haunted, terrifying. I mean, like I said, we've got werewolves, we've got vampires. Sauron gets defeated. Sauron can shapeshift, right? They talk about it a little. He can shapeshift into a werewolf and fights in his werewolf form on this island, which I can't even imagine how that happens.
You're blowing my mind.
And then he loses and he shapeshifts into a vampire form and flees.
Of course he would.
Of course he does. But this place is super haunted. But like I said, it has its redemption story.
Oh, yeah. Tell me how it's redeemed.
By a woman, of course.
Luthien?
Luthien shows up, defeats Sauron, defeats the head vampire, tears down that place, and was like, I am sick of this. Why does a woman have to come and clean up after it? No. She turns it into a beautiful gravesite honoring Galadriel's brother.
Yeah.
And she turns it into this, she tears down the whole fortress and it turns into this beautiful green mound.
Oh.
And it is protected with her spell and love or whatever it is. He saved her man. Like, the love of her life.
Place doesn't exist anymore.
I think I've read versions where it also falls into the ocean, but I like the version where it makes it.
I realize that I think I know pieces of that story, because I do know that I also heard that there is a place that did not sink into the ocean.
So I'm going to correct myself. I don't know if it actually survives the fall of Beleriand. And it eventually I think it gets retaken by Morgoth at some point. So it's kind of sad. Yeah. Between the two
first versions.
Yeah, I want to go with the first version. I think that's the version I'm going to tell myself to make me feel better at night. Between the two, I don't know. Would you take?
Yeah, of those two you talked about, the first one
Yeah.
is creepier.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would walk through the first one over the one with werewolves and vampires.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had to go and brave one of the two.
I know, because there were more survivors maybe, unless I'm Luthien. And then in that case.
Do you have the power? Are you half Maiar?
Right.
With a hound gifted to you by the Valar?
Unfortunately not. So I just feel like I could probably maybe sneak my way through the spiders more than werewolves and vampires, but I don't know.
Which are you more afraid of? I feel like if you're afraid of spiders, you're going to pick the one. If you're afraid of vampires and werewolves, you're going to pick the other.
I guess I'm more afraid of the werewolves and vampires because I'm like, yeah, after hearing that one, I think I'd try my luck with the spiders.
Yeah. Well, and it seems to be a place where they like to capture and torture people, whereas Nan Dungortheb, you can maybe sneak by. Like, things aren't necessarily looking for you. Like, It's not a good place, but if Baron can make his way through...
Yeah.
And
I may not come out the same.
Can make, you might be a little messed up and have some serious PTSD, but never speak of spiders ever again. But people
it does sound like
wandered through, right?
Right. If I don't alert attention to myself, I might be able to get through.
Yeah.
But there's so much more maybe active watching.
Yes. Like an actual watchtower manned by Sauron and his minions feel like they're more likely to be a lot harder to.
So I think I'd wander
stealth your way around.
Honestly, neither.
I mean, the real answer is neither, please and thank you. I'm glad they are both gone in a sense. Like, they don't exist anymore because
you've definitely confirmed that I don't want to live anywhere in the First Age.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I'm like, nope, the Shire. I like the Shire. The Shire is great. I don't need spooky spiders and werewolves and
just blissfully unaware.
Sounds great. I'm like, I'm going to eat my cheese and pretend like none of that evil exists. Right?
Yeah, even Lyndon seems a little too close.
Yeah, so First Age terrifying. That's my takeaway.
First Age terrifying. No, thank you.
Hard pass.
Fourth Age, though, Moria is probably
still exists,
still spooky. Don't go in there.
I think technically Angband exists too. The fortress in the north, like, it's quote unquote destroyed, but if it didn't fall into the continent, did it?
Well, so this is part of where I was reading into this, and maps disagree. Some of these locations of Utumno and Angband come from maps, very early maps of Tolkien. And his two earliest maps kind of conflict as to where they are exactly positioned.
Figuring out the lore as he goes, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, totally understandable. And some people have tried to pretty much take like those first maps and later maps and notes and the histories and put together a map.
You're just describing Christopher Tolkien's entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to figure this out.
And probably others also attempted to make maps, but still it's not completely decided where Utumno is. I think Angband is maybe a little bit more known, but I still think it's a little bit up in the air as to whether is it underwater or is it not.
So either way, I'm not going on any expeditions up into north to poke around what may or may not be up there. Yeah. Oh man, thank you for letting me take you again on a journey of the First Age, because if I can take one thing is I want more people to read the Silmarillion.
Yeah, no, it's on my list, and you've now convinced me that the Martin Shaw version is the one I'm going to go for.
It's a good version.
I got to get through the Children of Hurin first.
Tissues. So many
I know.
tissues.
I'm not far into it yet. I think I'm maybe an hour into the audiobook, but
I mean, it's beautiful, but everything that can't go wrong does go wrong.
I need to get emotionally prepared.
Hurin and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
But yeah, so then Silmarillion is next.
Nice.
Because this is definitely reminding me of how much I don't remember from reading it the first time, way back in high school.
There's some pretty epic things. And like, it's funny to me because I think like most people, I read The Hobbit first, and then I was like, cool. And then I read The Lord of the Rings, and I was like, cool. And then I read the appendices, and I was like, but wait, there's more?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, there's this book called The Silmarillion. And it blew my mind. Like, just the scale of things you get in those battles and the tragedies and it's just,
it is a much harder read.
Yeah, it's dense.
Dense, and just the first page has so many names.
Through the music of the Ainur.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit.
It did get more of a
singing into existence. Like there's a lot of singing.
Yeah.
Until Bombadil, right? And she passes singing. It's
right.
Great. Well,
yeah.
Looking at all these terrifying places we've been to, are there any other honorable mentions or places you want to give a shout out to? I have one on my list, but I'm sure there might be. Actually, I think I have two on my list.
I have one.
Okay. What is your one?
Mine is pretty short.
I
think, because we don't know a lot about it.
Oh.
But I thought that this was going to be the scariest place at first and that we were going to work up to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the void itself.
It sounds terrifying.
Well, yeah, looking into it, it's just really like space. It's a neutral place that Morgoth and Ungoliant end up getting. Well, Morgoth got banished into the void.
Interesting.
Ungoliant went there on her own, but
she had agency, unlike the man.
Right. So evil people and things have ended up in there.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of nothing.
Nothing.
It's just a neutral place that I think anybody could exist in if they ended up there.
I mean, I don't think I want to be floating around and accidentally bump into the disembodied spirit of Morgoth or the black hole that is Ungoliant. But
I guess you could consider it a really creepy place. It's
if it's nothing, there's nothing to like.
It's nothing scary, but it is. If you're out there, it's like literally nothing.
If you're terrified of nothing and uncertainty, maybe it's the scariest place.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
But it's not an inherently evil place.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the places I was thinking about are, I think one becomes evil and one is inherently evil. And the first is the southern tip of Mirkwood, Dol Guldur.
Yeah.
Which is where the fortress where Sauron starts to regain his power. And the Hobbit, you hear about the necromancer, and they showed in the movie with the White Council fighting him. And
I personally like that scene.
I mean, I like seeing Galadriel be a badass at any point in time. Like, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see Saruman maybe not being bad, but maybe he was already corrupted by that. I'm not sure.
Corrupting.
But it radiates badness. And it's interesting that he picked a place that's almost on the other side of the river from Lothlorien. So Galadriel probably knows what's up and can feel the evil emanating.
Yeah. I know it's where Sauron was kind of gaining his strength, right?
Yeah.
So it's, maybe not strong then, but then what maybe a lot of people don't know is when everybody's fighting Sauron at the Black Gates,
it's an orc fortress too.
Yeah.
So orcs come out of there, right? And
they're like attacking Lothlorien at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of battles that go on not at the Black Gate that are just not discussed.
But it's just kind of a smaller outpost.
I think he also chose it because it's close to, and I think other people would agree, and I've seen analysis, Sauron chose that location because it was close to the Gladden Fields, which is the last known location of the One Ring. So there's theories that he's trying to reconstitute his power and also look for the ring, and he wants to find a place that's
total sense.
Close to where its last known location, right?
It makes total sense, yeah.
Right, like not a bad thing. And, it's got spiders. It's got descendants of Shelob and Ungoliant. And he makes the whole forest dark, and there's trees that can move and trap you. That sounds familiar. There's allegedly an enchanted stream that can put you to sleep. Like there's, and the problem is that his evil spilling from there starts to taint Mirkwood.
Right.
Right, which frankly sucks for the Wood Elves because they had the Great Greenwood, and now it's turning into this really terrifying haunted forest.
I always
spiders.
Kind of feel for Mirkwood, and I didn't even mention it in my places that I live. I feel like it would have been at least considered by me if it wasn't so tainted by
maybe in the Second Age it's pretty happening. Maybe it's nice before Sauron moves in.
That's true. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about
drives real estate prices down. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think the elves of the Woodland Realm have to relocate because of the evil. They kind of move farther and farther north and don't go into as much of the forest because of
They couldn't
Sauron.
fight it at all?
I mean, I'm not going to question Legolas's dad. He seems... Yeah, anyway. It's
for another day.
It's a bit of a Switzerland in the books. Like, I think he has his reasons, but So I will give Mirkwood and Dol Guldur a shout out in terms of places. And the only other place is a very quick one, but I wanted to mention it because it's on our Instagram.
Oh.
Is the Death Down. So the Death Down.
Oh, I remember.
You remember? Yeah.
Remind me.
No, it's great. It's so at the end of the Two Towers, the Huorns come out and massacre what's left of the orc army.
Right.
And they kind of do their like creepy forest moving thing. And basically there's this mound where somehow these trees killed and buried and got rid of all remnants of the orcs under this mound. And the Rohirrim pass it. It's like on their way back to the Golden Hall in Meduseld. And they call it the Death Down. and it is said to be haunted for all time, and nobody goes on it, and nobody goes near it, and it's just like, we shall not speak of what the scary trees did here.
Yeah.
So it's a very like...
So we didn't even really know what would happen if you decided to like climb up on this mound.
Ain't nobody going to find out because they're all so terrified of invoking the wrath of the angry edge of Fangorn Forest again. So like...
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's like, they're just... That's too much
evil. Is it the
evil.
mound itself or is it the horn?
No, the mound itself is haunted, apparently. Okay. It's just because of all the evilness and orcs and stuff that were like concentrated and smashed into it, if you will. And also the Death Down. Like, let's talk about a terrifying name. So
Death Down.
Yeah, you know, it's the Death Down. I don't know if they said it like that.
No, right?
Death Down. Come visit Death Down. Go on to the Death Down. Yes. So I'll give that an honorable mention because it is terrifying, but it's like it's just a little, you know, it's a mound. Yeah. Trees. It doesn't really
come after you. Just don't walk on it.
It's there. Don't walk on it. Right. Yeah. Like, stay away from it. You're fine. It's not spreading evil. No spirits, as far as you know, emanate out of it.
I do love the idea, though, that the trees, you know, buried the orcs there and then used their fungi, you know,
just like
mycorrhiza
gone. Gone. They
decompose them.
They do it overnight. That's what's so scary about it. This isn't like
they're actively decomposing them, but into a concentrated
they give back to the earth and make it haunted at the same time.
Yeah, they didn't really cleanse it. But
are you successfully spooked? Do you have thoughts? Are you just excited about scary things in Tolkien's world?
Yeah, I don't know about spooked.
I guess in closing, are there any kind of key themes or things that stand out to you when you think about the way Tolkien talks about scary places and the way he talks about horror in his novels?
The ones that creep me out the most are still the unknowns.
Yeah. The things he writes the least about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's still the nameless places. Like, I want to know what's under Moria, but I also don't. But then, honestly...
part of you does. You're going to be that dwarf that digs the next hole.
I will be... there's going to be a curious dwarf. There always is somebody too curious that just has to figure it out. Apparently, that would be me.
Yeah.
But I also do not want to be tortured. And so I think I would pick almost any of the other ones over Utumno and its torture chambers.
Yeah, I think the places where they choose to be evil and operate versus where evil just exists definitely have different vibes to them. And I think it's interesting how he talks. You get this sense of the way evil can scar the land and leave these permanent things that don't always go away.
Don't always heal. Yeah.
Or if you need to get rid of it, like, we need a cataclysmic event that brings the whole continent into the ocean to finally wash away some of the evilness, if you will. So out of all of these, is Moria still the scariest for you? Because it can just...
I still think Utumno, even though it luckily is hopefully under the ocean. If we're going to consider it, if I were alive in the First Age, let's say, that for me would be the most horrible place. Because it combines torture aspect with the nameless things that may not even be controlled by Morgoth, but are just evil there. And I don't even know what they would do to me. But the fact that I don't know.
Well, if you're walking in like
if I
don't think they'd be terribly friendly. But, you know, if you want to join us, if you're here to pledge yourself to the Dark Lord, they'd probably be like, yeah, come on in.
It might depend on my purpose under there. What's your most creepy place?
Oh, man. I am going to go with Nan Dungortheb because I really don't like spiders.
That's fair.
And
that was a good one.
Yeah, the fact that, again, like, nobody wants to go through there. They don't like to speak of it. Like I said, Baron is so traumatized. I don't want to talk about it. I was like, okay, all right. So that kind of, it's bad. And also, there's a chance you could go there when Ungoliant's there. Like, that would be no thank you.
Yeah, because if I picture that one as just spiders, or like even lots of Shelobs.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could probably sneak around that. But Ungoliant, though, she's so bad that I feel like she would know that you're there.
One, it's not just spiders, right? There are shrines to dark gods or whatever that existed before time, and you also maybe have the unspoken dark things of the world just hanging out above ground.
That's
because
true.
They're like, it's so hospitable up here. We're just like, if you're like wandering around and see a creature from the underworld, I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah. I think apparently I don't like being claustrophobic because still would pick the spiders over being trapped underground with the stuff. I'm not claustrophobic, but I think just being not in the open air.
Yeah.
Somehow makes it way worse for me.
For me, it's just anything that Ungoliant touches, I'm like, this is the creature that scared Morgoth. I'm good. I don't need to go anywhere she's been.
Yeah.
Like, she scared the guy who
I
built
say
it.
that like they wouldn't be scared, but I would be terrified.
Yeah. I don't think Morgoth is hanging out there after what
None of these places I really want to go to.
No. I think I think there's enough scary places that we don't have to worry about it. And I think there's a chance some of the Third Age ones, like, there's a way around the Paths of the Dead. And follow
those sound so nice now.
I would go to the Barrow Downs. And I'm going to have a picnic on a Barrow Down after this. I feel like after talking about the First Age stuff, I'm like, no, that's great. Let's go to the Barrow Downs.
Right. Yeah. That's fine. Sweet.
It's just some spirits and a dead body. Okay, cool. It's not a giant spider spirit from the void. It's it's like I'm here for it. Yeah, you're right. Actually, reflecting on all that, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the
sounds nice,
Barrow Downs. I'll walk through the Paths of the Dead. Yeah. Maybe I'll definitely go to the Dead Marshes.
Dead Marshes, yes.
Paths of the Dead.
Paths of the Dead,
50-50.
I still think I'd come out dead.
If I'm an elf, I might.
Yeah, I guess it depends on if I'm an elf or if I'm.
Yeah, those first couple sound pretty hospitable after showing these last. Oh man.
Well,
cool.
That was a good tour through the creepiest places of Middle-earth.
I think so. So we've taken our tour of the most terrifying places in Middle-earth, at least according to our little research and list here. So for our listeners, we'd love to hear, what's the scariest place in Middle-earth for you? Would you rather face the Barrow-wights or, maybe the Dead Marshes or Shelob or the nameless things of Nan Dungortheb if you're crazy? Like, we'd love to hear, what you guys think about all these places.
Yeah, let us know. And tell us if we've missed any of your favorite nightmare locations.
Yeah, because honestly, we could probably do a whole nother episode on scary places in the Silmarillion and the First Age based on today's talk. I feel like
after I reread it.
Yeah, reread it and we'll get back to it.
But for now, stay safe out there in Middle-earth, everyone.
And I think that brings us to our call to adventure. So if you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting up visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
For even more Middle-earth musings, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
Plus, find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
And as we said earlier, we would love to hear your favorite scary, spooky, or just slightly unnerving Tolkien lore. So reach out to us on socials or feel free to email us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
Thank you for wandering with us through all the creepy places of Middle-earth. Remember, don't follow the lights, don't dig too deep, and don't fall asleep next to creepy stones.
Or just generally listen to what Tom Bombadil has to say.
Just listen to Tom.
And until next time, don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine. Spooky behaviors, I think that's a Tolkien and your hobbits and very spooky places.
Well, that's great.